In today's video, I'm going to talk about the power of journaling again regarding storytelling. And I will provide some prompts you can use when you decide to work on your personal growth journey. Have you heard this saying before? If you want to change your life, change your personal narrative. It's that simple. No, it's not. I would not have been able to understand what's meant by this without learning the ropes in one of the educations I took. Before we have a closer look at the metaphor of rewriting your story, let me quickly introduce myself.
Hi, it's Monika, your intuitive trauma transformation coach, who helps you face and successfully navigate through the storms of life, guiding you through a most powerful self-healing process and teaching you all the mindfulness tools you need to embark on your journey to your core self and create the life you've always envisioned.
The stories we tell ourselves about our lives define the way we think, the way we act, and the way we react. In other words, the stories we tell ourselves shape our lives. And what's the most horrible thing about those stories is they limit us and they keep us their slaves. Let me give you an example from my own life. I grew up and learned early on that kids should be seen but not heard, because they would only talk nonsense anyway. I also absorbed that I was dumb, not just from my teachers, but also from my parents, who only criticized and never praised. And when I was a teenager, I was told that I would be an embarrassing speaker and should shut my mouth. The story that I developed for my life was, I better shut up and not even try to do a presentation. So I rejected every invitation to present about topics I could have talked for hours. My story silenced me. During my studies in applied psychology, I stumbled across expressive arts therapy and narrative therapy. And I became intrigued by what I learned, essentially changing my story. I will never forget my instructor saying, if you tell your story often enough, you will believe it. And yes, I believed my story 100% to be true. Storytelling is as old as mankind, and without stories, life as a human would be significantly stripped of its significance. There are exciting stories, boring stories, true stories and false stories, and they all affect us, especially emotionally. I remember my first mother-in-law telling us stories of deceased relatives who came to visit and hammered against the windows in search of justice because they were wronged. I remember being afraid of the dark that night, with alert ears in search of any noise. I did not even question what I had heard. It just scared me. We gather stories from parents and teachers, social messaging, and personal experiences. Though many stories are harmless and fun, others come with great power and get lodged into our subconscious minds. Over time, stories become wired into us and form the programming from which we act out our lives, impacting things like day-to-day decisions, career choices, how we portray ourselves, how we act out in romantic relationships, and how we behave in various situations. It doesn't matter so much whether the stories we tell are make-believe or laced with threads of truth. What matters is whether we believe in them as truth. Simply having faith in an idea gives it power to shape perception, and perception creates the lens through which we understand everything. Stories are the bones that form the skeletons of our lives. Everything, especially the way we feel and behave, is influenced by the narrative that's running in the background. Stories guide our choices, and our choices shape our reality moment by moment. We are consistently creating our lives by materializing the fictitious scripts that play out in our minds. And this leads back to the law of energy. Everything in life contains energy, and that energy acts upon everything around it. Energy can't be created or destroyed. It can only be transferred from one form to another or transformed. Our thoughts aren't excluded from this law. They too impact our environment, although it's not a single isolated thought that holds the power. Rather, thoughts often follow the same patterns which build on each other like droplets of water, and over time generate a powerful energy that influences how we live out our lives. The most powerful beliefs that shape our lives typically exist in the subconscious part of the brain, where they aren't so obvious nor easy to rewire. They are ingrained deep down in the trenches of our psyche. Shining a light of awareness onto the stories that guide your life is a choice that leads to freedom. It gives you, the storyteller, greater control over the stories you choose to write. The process of rewiring neural pathways in your brain isn't so different from forming a new path in the woods, which develops after it has been walked over and over again. As the result of deliberate effort, what was once covered with grass and twigs can become a clear, unobstructed path that is easy to travel. Self-reflection and conversations during my studies helped me to rewrite my new stories so that I was able to experience a different reality for myself. I love presenting and speaking in front of an audience. I can't even imagine how I would have been limited without this ability. Since then, I have guided numerous clients through the process of rewriting their stories. And my goodness, It's so powerful. How do you want to feel? What kind of life can you imagine for yourself? How do you want to perceive the world around you? Your answers to these questions aren't dependent on the hand of cards that life deals you, but rather the stories you are telling yourself, which is precisely where your power lies. You must intentionally choose over and over again what stories you wish to give power to and which paths you hope to form in your mind's forest to lead you to a different destination. Here are some prompts you can play with when you are journaling. Prompt number 1, your past. Who were you? Go back to your memory. Could be 5, 10 years ago or longer. Write about who you were at that age. What was important to you? What did you learn? What stories do you remember from your childhood? Is it a movie, a book, a folk tale, or a fable? Explore them. What did you learn from them? Prompt number 2, your present. Who are you now? What's the story now? What does it say about you? What do you enjoy doing nowadays? Prompt number 3, your future. Who are you becoming? Who and what do you aspire to be 5 years from now? What would you hope to be doing? How do you see yourself in your career, in your relationships? Who would you consider a hero? That's another prompt. What qualities make them heroic in your eyes? What do you have in common with your hero? Describe their story. Always remember, we are not our stories, but they shape the reality we live in. So always ask yourself this question: is it true? Do I have proof? What if it can be changed? A very powerful question. Other prompts you can use are: what story do you want to tell? Why? What is unique about your story? What is painful about your story? What is joyful about this story? What is universal about your story? Universal meaning, how can others relate to your story? What have you learned from this story? If you would like a PDF of these prompts, please let me know in the comments box below. By the way, did you know that YouTube shows my videos to more people when there are comments? Even if it's just an emoji. Please support me in my mission to give some hope and help with my videos. Please don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up and hit the bell as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Namaste, namaste. And please remember, you deserve to break free and live your magic every day.